Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn, Hinderaker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. Welcome to WowBiz, Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. The number one reason why 4,600 young professionals leave Nebraska this year, why the top scholar in the state of Nebraska decided she was going to move to Minneapolis instead of remain in Nebraska. We've got the solution, the answer, the reason why these people are not staying here, not generating gross domestic product, not paying their taxes. They're somewhere else. Thanks for watching. I'm Lynn Hinderaker right here in WowBiz, Nebraska, and we've got loads of helpful new information. If you're a business person, and even if you're not, you're going to enjoy this remaining portion of our show. Now, 91% of all young workers looking for work, looking for a job, 91% of them say, and this is according to Fast Company magazine, by the way, that innovation is key when they choose an employer. They want to work for somebody that innovates, develops new products and services, does some new things, isn't afraid to try some ideas and so on. That's the kind of business culture 91% of young people utilize. They bring this topic up, innovation. I guess that's no surprise in some respects, but I think a lot of people would say, wow, that is a big number, a big prerequisite to hiring. And of course, we have a workforce problem here in the state of Nebraska, so it's a reasonably important number to remember. But when you hear the next statistic, you're going to really remember this whole concept, all right? That number is this. Right now, Nebraska is ranked number 46 in all 50 states insofar as innovation. All right, so you can put two and two together pretty quickly and figure out these young people want to work for somebody who's innovative, but we don't do much that's very innovative. That's a weakness in the state of Nebraska and the business owners here in the state of Nebraska. And I'm not saying that no innovation takes place. We don't want to exaggerate here. This is a generalization, but nevertheless, from a competitive point of view, the state of Nebraska really needs to kick it up and then be able to publicize innovative projects, new products in particular, and talk about the process and how you embrace that and so on. So you gotta innovate, and then you have to publicize your innovation in order for us to become more competitive and attract companies who in fact will come to your community. All right, that's a huge issue. Now, if you're sitting there going, well, I don't really know much about innovation. I'm too busy running the business and the shop, and we don't have really time to think about trying a new product or doing anything innovative at all, Lynn. We got you covered on that. We got you covered. All the literature that's out there right now, all the research, all the charts have been distilled, reviewed, summarized, and pulled into a 24-page booklet called 90 Minutes to Take Off. 90 Minutes to Take Off is full of data and statistics and some beautiful art, by the way. And all you have to do is contact Nebraska in the Omaha area and ask for your copy of 90 Minutes to Take Off. We'll be happy to share that with you. It will give you a running start on innovation and helping the state of Nebraska become more competitive. Thanks for watching. Remember, 90 Minutes to Take Off, Innovation Guide, 24 pages. Easy to read, maybe it's 30 to 50 minutes. All right. Now, I'm sure you realize that the Harvard University president recently resigned. She happened to be an African-American woman. There's a big discussion about diversity. And by the way, diversity is a key consideration if you want to be more innovative. The world is diverse. It's helpful to have a diverse collection of people in front of you when you realize how profitable innovation can be. So diversity is key, and everybody knows the DEI movement right now. Large corporations are embracing it. They're committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and so on. So where did this diversity thing come from? Is anybody sitting around saying, you know, what is this, right? Where did this come from? And why does it even exist? Why is it even a discussion right now? And I'm going to take you all the way back. I'm going to ask you to participate with me in it. We'll call it a story for right now. I want you to pretend that you've been invited to go to Washington, D.C. And you're going to have the opportunity, when you get off the plane with other people, similar doing things, they're all similar people connected to you somehow. And somebody says, you're going to give a little speech tomorrow to the Secretary of Agriculture there in Washington, D.C., the Secretary of Agriculture. And so you go, I don't know, that's kind of a little nerve-wracking situation. But the next day, you walk into a stadium, really more of an auditorium, I guess. It was full, about 250 other people that were somehow indirectly connected to you. But you were asked to come up to the podium and face the Secretary of Agriculture and speak to this man who happened to be from Nebraska, the Secretary of Agriculture from Nebraska. And you look at this gentleman, he's very somber, no smiling, no waving, comes in, sits down, looks directly at you very sternly. You could have heard a pin drop in the entire auditorium. And here's what you said or say. Mr. Secretary, I'm with my family, and in the evening we open the window there out on the farm. We live on the farm, of course, and we slowly see sheep walk by. It's a very serene, quiet environment. They're nibbling away at the grass. We hear cows out in the cow pen, moo, right there. They're going to occasionally, make themselves known, but that's about it. It's a very quiet, serene, and there's food, by the way. There's corn over there on a big field, and a field of soybeans, oats over there. We're surrounded by resources and plenty of food, and it's relaxed and so on. But when my family and I look at the TV or the streaming video, we see demonstrations, right? We see Robert F. Kennedy being assassinated. We see Martin Luther King being assassinated. We see demonstrations and tear gas and policemen with shields and hitting people over the head and screaming and yelling. And it's an incredibly violent and worrisome image that we see on TV. And yet here we are completely insulated from that horrible experience that we're looking at. And we can't help but think as we watch these people hitting each other and staging and screaming and talking about the future and catching up and being marginalized in society and culture, and all this is going on. And we ask ourselves one question: where are the children? Where are these children? What are they doing right now? Are they being watched at home? Is somebody taking care of them? Do they have enough food? Right? So one of the most important things that we've learned in that experience is that we have to be able to come together. So anyway, the Secretary of Agriculture smiles, thanks me, you get down, right? You leave. And by the way, at that particular time, and of course you realize I'm talking about my story now, my story. I started out asking you to pretend that you're part of this, but of course this is my story as well. And at that particular time, I was a little bit slimmer, and of course as a young man, and this particular jacket was what I had on 53 years ago when I went and had this conversation with the Secretary of Agriculture, Clifford Hardin. Well, anyway, 2 weeks later, Secretary Hardin called Iowa State University and said, we're interested in that discussion, we're interested in that project. We would like to set something up where we can try to get 4-H kids, white kids, rural kids, to be able to get them to interface with the inner city youth that may or may not be struggling, but probably are a bit, and see what happens. And so, in fact, to get to the bottom line here, and like I said, this was many, many years ago, about 53 years ago, we indeed started not one, not two, but 3 4-H clubs in the inner city of Des Moines, Iowa. Very rough neighborhood. We got 50 young folks from the neighborhood that were largely truants running away from school and so on, and we got them to pledge their involvement with 4-H and all the qualities, character development, youth development, and bringing them together with urban and rural youth. All right, and we did that for 90 days. At the end of that project, I left, went to college, didn't think about it anymore. 40 years later, I received a phone call from somebody I did not know. They said, Lynn, we're sitting here analyzing 4-H now. This would be this organization right here, and the number of people that are in it. And this gentleman said, Lynn, I know you'd want to know this. He said, right now, 50%, 4.5 million of all 4-Hers, in fact, are urban youth. The other 4.5 million are agricultural, rural youth that take cattle to county fairs, but there's a whole group of folks in the city that kind of play the game in a slightly different way. We just want to congratulate you. 38 million, Lynn, since the summer of 1970. 38 million young urban children have passed through the 4-H program, and they're the better for it and much more comfortable, obviously, with white folks and diversity in general. So that's where, now Martin Luther King actually did this 2 years before I did, but I must say I'm the second person in America to spearhead a diversity project in this entire country, and it's something that I'm very happy about and proud of course. And so keep that in mind, that we're bringing the races together, even as youth started in the summer of 1970. That's right. All right. Thanks for watching us here on WowBiz Nebraska. That was an interesting story. A lot of people would say, wow, I had no idea. 38 million urban youth way back in the 1970 and years after, spread throughout all states. 38 million young folks know about 4-H and benefited from that program. All right. So anyway, we will wrap up. We're going to go to our promotional sponsor here very quickly and talk to you about them, introduce you to them, and then we're going to have an exciting show at the back end of WowBiz Nebraska. Again, I'm Lynn Hinderaker, and excited here to share our message with you and to talk to you a little bit about Urban Natural Omaha. Now, Urban Natural Omaha is an organization that believes that now is the time to pull together young folks, particularly workforce, but people in general, but particularly urban folks, and bring them together with rural folks, kind of the same theme we walked before. But you know, today, many people, we're talking about college graduates now, they're out of college, and if you ask them what kind of a life they want to live, they will tell you the word eclectic. Eclectic comes up all the time. They want an urban sophistication. They also want a rural or natural element in their life. And they want the both of them working together in their lifestyle. That's why the word urban natural is so powerful. It explains both, right? So urban is technology, industry, metal, speed, all that kind of stuff is associated with urban life. And then, of course, when you use the word natural or rural, you get organic, serenity, relaxed, a lot of right brain thinking and so on. So you pull these two things together and you get a human being that is perfect for this particular city and this particular state, an urban natural person. And by the way, there's 50 million, think about that number now, 50 million urban natural people in America looking for a job, looking for a life, looking for a lifestyle, someplace where they can set up shop and do their work and so on. So we think this particular community, Omaha, Nebraska, should be branded or rebranded, shall we say, Urban Natural Omaha, so that it appeals to the urban natural people that I've just tried to describe to you. This is a very cool word, very marketable, and down at the Chamber of Commerce and so on, a lot of people are looking for some big ideas, and certainly Urban Natural Omaha is a hook. It's a brand. It's something people get rather quickly, and they love the idea of they don't have to be this way, they don't have to be that way. They can have both in their lifestyle. They can be both. That's the eclectic generation we're trying to attract right here as we head into the AI generation here in Omaha, Nebraska. Urban Natural Omaha, tell the people you know, hey, that's what we should be. We should stand for that. We should brand that. We should embrace that. Let's say, come to Omaha, we're urban natural. Welcome back to WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker, and you're going to meet a whole bunch of new people, 16 new people on this portion of WowBiz Nebraska. Now here we go. Pretend that you are a manager or owner of a company that employs, let's say 20, 30, 50, 100, maybe 300 or 500 people. That's the scenario. It's pretty broad, but and you find out about the ability to manage these people in a better and more productive way because you have gotten involved with something called, I'm going to hold it up right here, Future Force. Future Force is a program, for managers and employees. Here's the one for managers. The previous one was for employees, but these are fully developed projects and programs to enable business owners to manage large groups of workers, of employees, help you build a productive, attractive culture, and very importantly, help the people who work for you want to stay. 67% of all employees right now are planning on leaving your organization in the next 6 months. And by the way, 18% of them are very unhappy with their jobs. They don't like you, and they're doing unproductive things on the floor in front of their computers or whatever it is. But you need to be thinking about how do we get everybody really happy with their work and proud to be part of what we do here. And part of the whole deal has to do with self-awareness. You've heard of that word before. Your knowledge, your insight into who you are, really who you are, what you believe in, how you behave under stress, various qualities or characters. And then, of course, your employees. There may be a bunch of them, and here you see a bunch of cute employees right here in front of me. And each one of them has a different personality type or personality style, right? And we're going to play around with that a little bit here on camera, but I'm sure you've heard of, maybe there's at least 3 different personality typing systems. And many business owners have said, you know, we kind of got into that and learned a lot about ourselves, learned about our management style and our communication style. And we may not be communicating that effectively as we kind of understood or came to understand as a result of studying. And there are 3 of them that are pretty obvious out there. The first one is the DISC, D-I-S-C, the DISC system. And they categorize everybody into one of 4 categories, fairly broad, but helpful. Then there's another one that's very popular called the Myers-Briggs system. Now they categorize people more precisely. They have 16, and here's 16 right here, I believe, 16 different segments, and we're going to get into that a little bit, but it really allows you to kind of know who you are very precisely and how you react to certain things, aspire to certain things, inclined to have certain types of careers and so on. That's the Myers-Briggs system, and we'll talk about that shortly. And then finally, I would say the third most popular system, and this is really a deep philosophical, even a somewhat spiritual system for categorizing people. They utilize nine different categories, by the way, and it's called the Enneagram. The Enneagram has been around. It's almost an ancient system from the Middle East, but it's fascinating and it's very popular in certain circles. A lot of psychotherapists utilize the Enneagram to work with their patients and so on. All right, so let's talk about the one I just mentioned, the second one, Myers-Briggs. All right, and we're going to try to utilize these beautiful little trolls to try to help you understand why it could be helpful for you to learn a little bit more about, we'll say the Myers-Briggs system, learn who you are, and learn who, very importantly, your employees are and how they're going to respond when they get an email from you, or how to communicate with them, or what to expect from them under certain circumstances, how they form or don't form relationships with each other. It's extremely important, and how they respond to their manager, the person that is responsible for watching them on a daily basis and making sure they're productive in that context. Well, anyway, so let's talk about extroverts. We'll just use the word E to abbreviate, and introverts, all right? And out of the 16 different subtypes, we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, all right, 5, 6, 7, 8. All 8 would be extroverts. And I think you know that extroverts like to talk to people, they like forming relationships, they like doing interesting things, they want to engage in conversations, they want to know what your opinion is about this or that. So that's extroversion, and there's a lot of people in management, by the way, that are extroverts. But now over here we've got introverts, right? Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, all right, 5, 6, this little person here, 7, and then 8. Now these over here are introverts, right? These people, their reality goes on inside of them. What really matters is what they're thinking and feeling, not really what they're talking and exchanging with people. And in fact, it's actually rather difficult for them to communicate or approach the manager and say, I think we should probably change this or that. It's very hard for them to do that. Extroverts over here will gladly give you their opinion about whatever's happening on the floor or in their job with other people and so on. And they'd like you to communicate back and forth with them. Sometimes they use too many words. Sometimes they get outside the box a little bit and they're not focused too much. These people over here will focus, but when they're frustrated with the company and the policies and the way they're being treated, they probably won't say anything to anybody. And then one day, they just won't show up, right? And their attitude is, well, nobody, asked me or took care of me or so on. So when you're dealing with just those two types, now we have another category concept, which has to do with S and F, right? S would be sensory. These are people, if you're a sensory person, your reality about life is based upon what is coming at you, what you see, what people say to you, all of that, right? And you like to think about those things, but it's not real if it's not a sensory kind of thing, taste, touch, hear, and so on. They rely on those cues to create their life. These folks over here use feelings, and so instead of S, it's F, right? And here, it's all about how you feel about somebody, all right? You may or may not be a great worker, but if you feel good about the company and their values and what they stand for and so on, you'll stay there for 20 years, right? Or you're around somebody, you can kind of sense their vibe, their energy, and kind of how they feel toward you, and we could probably be friends, and why don't we go have lunch, and da-da-da-da-da, all based upon their internal feelings and how they feel as they walk onto the factory floor, walk through the office, or whatever, where those things are not important at all to these people. Now, then there is the J and the P, right? So J and P stand for judgment and perceiving. This is one of the hardest things to explain, by the way, but people that are judgment oriented, they like control, right? They want to know A, B, C. They focus on details. It's got to be just right. They're very interested in controlling or making sure things are under control. And if that's the mentality of the employee, you'll just have to expect that from them. You see, this is very important. If you're a manager or a boss or whatever, when you're talking to people, you have to know that this is their skew, so to speak. Now, these people over here, they're perceivers, that's P. And these people believe in creativity, possibilities. Almost getting it right is certainly fine. Thinking in broad strokes about other things that we could be doing here in the plant or in my job or whatever. They like kind of an open-ended approach towards life. These people here think, wow, they're nuts. We need to have control, clarity. We need to be right on top, exactly what our job is. We're going to be judged based upon our understanding of that. These people over here are going to be saying, I'm going to be judged based on how I contribute, collaborate, work with other people, and do some kind of cool things that create new value for our customers. So here they are. They're on the floor. You're managing all of them. But it's very interesting that they're coming at their jobs, and they interpret, obviously, the job definition and the skills and so on, slightly different ways, and say, well, these people don't realize how good I am at this and that, and I'm really good at talking to people and making them like me, and then I can build a lot of cool stuff going on here in our department. It's going to be really fine. These people wouldn't do that unless somebody told them to. They would stay within their area and talk only to the people that seem to understand them and conform to the criterion of their job description. So here you have it, right? You have extrovert, introvert. You have sensory, intuitive, feelings, and then you have perceivers and judgers, right? Just very interesting. If you're a manager, now here's the thing, and I'm going to let you go. Managers themselves need to do this. They need to understand who they are, how they come across, who they kind of fit into, who doesn't seem to work with them, but they do a good job. These are all parts of self-awareness, organizational productivity, and future force, by the way. So I'm Lynn Hinderaker, and you've learned a lot right here in a short period of time about your workforce and the future, how to hire them, recruit them, train them, and make them happy while they're at work. All right, we've talked about a lot of stuff here in WowBiz, Nebraska. Thank you so much. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. We'll see you next week, by the way. I think we've got 105 shows or something to that effect right now, and every single time we work hard to make sure that we bring you new, helpful information right here on WowBiz, Nebraska. We'll see you next time. Thank you.